Hello, and welcome to a new Paralives video. And in today's video, we will be doing the floor plan challenge. So this challenge consists in getting this custom rug, and then you can upload your own pictures. And the cool thing is we can upload floor plan pictures, like a real floor plan of houses that exist or that are projects for possible houses to exist. And so I went ahead and got this one off, I think, floorplans.com. Um, and the first thing I had to do was figure out the proportions of everything, because when I put it down, I wasn't really sure if it was too big or too small. In the end, I think it may have been a little bit too big for some parts, but then for others, this floor plan had like some really tight corridors and corners and a lot of archways, so for some of those we didn't really follow through completely. But yeah, I just placed a bathtub to kind of, oh, and also a bed to kind of figure out if the size of the rug and the floor plan was good enough. And so having figured that out, I began tracing the walls, and this is the really cool thing about it, is you can just trace all of those and make the rooms. And it's really cool because you don't have to, think really hard about what the floor plan is going to be like. And also, it's a challenge to make this floor plan work. And I decided to go for not a very simple floor plan. I knew I didn't want to make like a rectangle floor plan or a square, something that simple. So I went for one that had like bumps and all that, so we could experiment with it and also have some fun. And this floor plan specifically has 3 bedrooms. It's a 3-bedroom house, and it also has a huge garage. And we don't have cars in Paralives. We do have some mods, so we end up using mods to include some cars in that garage. And I actually started building this on a live stream. So all of this was live streamed, and I had a lot of input from you guys. And also the kitchen I thought was really big. But yeah, it was really fun to kind of build this and have your guys' opinions. And after having traced everything, you pretty much have the floor plan done. So you can start, furnishing, figuring out the roofing. And that was also another challenge of this. And out the back, we do have a little covered terrace area. That was fun as well. But yeah, also I searched specifically for 1-story floor plans, and I didn't realize this one had stairs to go down. So I'm guessing the real house plan had like a basement, which we don't do because we don't have the basements tool. And if I wanted to have a basement, I would have to start by doing a lower level. But yeah, we decided not to do it. And the cool thing about this is it also had in the actual floor plan the places where you can put the windows and the doors. So we go along that and start placing some windows. I think overall we do follow the floor plan strictly, except for one sneaky window that I add in the pantry. And then in the back, we have these more modern windows and doors. We have sliding doors there in the main bedroom and also in the living room or the dining. Well, it's actually an open concept floor plan, so it's living, dining, kitchen, and then also corridor or corridors. But yeah, we follow that floor plan. And then I didn't really know for the kitchen how they would look, so I decided to put that big window there, which kind of made sense to me. And then initially I thought this here was the door, but it was actually a window, because then if you see in the floor plan, you actually have the entrance or like some dotted lines that show like where the entrance for the cars is. So we do switch this garage door to the side of the build, and then we do a little pathway to kind of mimic the entryway for the cars. And we do opt to put these archways in just because the actual floor plan says arch. So we have those dotted lines there, and then we also do the front porch. And as you can see, it has some stairs there and also in the garage. So this house is on a foundation, which I wasn't gonna do initially, but then we had this idea to do a sunken living room thanks to you guys in the chat, and so we kind of have to raise everything up, which was a bit of build breaking but it made sense in the end because we had the stairs for the entrance and then also in the garage. And now I'm just figuring out where the doors go, and I think I put an archway here also next to the mudroom, or in the mudroom. And this little corridor here in the entrance, when I raised the foundation up, they started bugging out, so I get rid of them in the end. So that is more or less the part that we don't exactly follow from this floor plan challenge. And then after everything is laid out, we started building the roof. So I went for this style, which is more of a craftsman style, which I think was the original style the floor plan was on. So I did try that out. I tried also like a modern roof, but since this is a one-story house and it is very like long, I didn't think a modern roof was gonna do it justice. I think it looked really flat, so after we compared, we decided to go for like a pitched roof. And the way I do this, I just kinda see what is the biggest piece of roof that we can fit, which would be like the main portion, and then I kinda see where it needs to branch out. So that's kind of how I tackle roofs in Paralives and also in The Sims. And that is honestly just what we did here. So we just went little by little and seeing all of these stick out parts of the build, so that those are where we actually put the roof. And so this is pretty much what the front will look like in terms of the roofing. We have this double cluster, let's say, and then we have a covered porch entrance. And then for the back, I was a bit confused, but we figured it out after a bit of a struggle. This is, I think, more or less what we go for, and we just do a cluster as well here. And this is what the back actually looks like. With the covered porch, we don't actually use... Oh, there's a floating door. In the back porch, we actually don't use a roof. We took the liberty to swap that out for like a pergola. So we do put some plants in there as well, just because the texture of the roof was a little bit funky when it's all that stretched out. And so I used these like wooden planks to make them. The cool thing about them is we can stretch them out as long as we want, so that's what I end up doing. And it's a little bit like we do in The Sims, but with short fences. We don't really have that kind of short fence in Paralives, so we don't have it yet. But this object right here was actually really good for this. I didn't really miss having like a short fence like that. And then we just put some columns there as well. I was just testing it out to see how it looked here. And this right here, this was probably the most confusing part of the build, or at least the roof. I wasn't sure how to hide that little bit of roof poking there. So we actually just place a chimney there. That is how we decide to hide that part. And this is when I realized, oh, the entrance is to the side, so we don't actually make the door that big, or as big as it is in the floor plan. We just kind of what it is like right now. We don't have this double door, and here we're just figuring out the chimney. But it is very quickly that we figure it out, and it actually looked good in terms of how natural it looked to have a chimney there, and also it kind of fixed the problem that we had with the roofing sticking there like a sore thumb. So yeah, I just used the advanced transformation tool and just made it look like part of the build. So yeah, for the colors of this build, I went for a stone, and then also like not deciding, but a stone that kind of looks like that, and then a black or a dark gray roof. And then the windows also, they have the blue shutters for a really long time, but then I decided to change them also for this brown, chocolatey and yellow colors. So this is kind of the stone that we go for, and I really like it. And this isn't really my style of build, at least not often. It's not often that I do builds like this, especially so large. So this is the cool thing about the floor plan challenge. I would have never come up with this floor plan. One, because it is very complex, and also it has a little bit of tight spaces and like a giant open space as well. And then it is a family home, which is just one story, and also it just had an interesting layout. So everything is kind of, I suppose everything is thought out to be like functional in real life. I'm not sure in Paralives or in any game really if this would make the most sense. But yeah, so that's the fun part about this. And here I decided to start placing some furniture just to identify what each room was, because I wanted to get rid of the rug with the floor plan. So I just placed a bed on all the bedrooms and all that, just to identify them. And so after that was gone, it was time to start building. And we had that space there, which was where the stairs were gonna go if we had a basement. And for the longest time, we thought about what we could include there. So I was trying out a bar, and we tried a few other things. In the end, we don't go for any of those options, and I actually add in the stairs. And the thing is, I do like how the stairs looked. Now, obviously, those are not functional stairs, and also they lead nowhere, but I liked having the illusion there. And here I was just looking at how big and open this living space is. I was kind of intimidated at first, but then I think we split up the open space really well, not only with the sunken living room, but also we place a wall and an archway between the kitchen and the dining. So I think that ends up breaking the space quite nicely. And so this is when we start working on the sunken living room. I was scared at first just because we had done this huge build, and now we were gonna start messing with foundation. So, and the thing with Paralives is we have a lot of bugs regarding building. And so I did try a couple of things whilst I was saving, because that is my #1 tip. If you want to do something that could break your build, save before you do it, because then you can go back to it and not having it be ruined forever. So yeah, we were just seeing how it looked and we liked it, so we went ahead with it. And because we had those weird lines on the wallpaper, we decided to place this shelf there, which is going to be wrapping around this whole area, just because we have this, like, the half walls in the game, they don't have, like, you cannot personalize them in terms of like how they look at the top, so they just have this white line, and that's why we end up just covering it with the shelf. Also, I decided to play test this because I thought that was really important for this build, and when I did, it had a few bugs. We had a really good laugh on stream, but it was really really frustrating to figure it out, because the pair wasn't really stepping up, and then even when I put some stairs to go up into the house, the pair wasn't really using them. As you can see here, they just walked past them, and yeah, that was a really funny and interesting thing or bug that happened. But yeah, we took a really long time to kind of figure it out. Basically, I just leveled all of the floors because some of them were still like not at the foundation level. They were, and because of that, the pair wasn't really registering, I think, that they were different levels. So after we fixed that, we load back again into the save file, and yeah, they actually work. So we had a laugh. Another funny thing that happened is with this sunken lounge, we had part of the roof disappear, as you can see here. And I mean, I feel like we had it coming. And another funny thing is the para just went ahead and went to sleep instead of being worried that the roof completely disappeared. But yeah, that was also a funny highlight from the stream. But yeah, after we fixed that, we just rebuilt the roof. So, you know, it's something that happens sometimes, and it was fine. We did that pretty quickly. And then for the sunken living room, we had this U-shaped couch, or like a conversation pit type of living area. And then we did this trick that I've done in builds before in Paralives, just to incorporate the fireplace. So I have this built-in look. And this is what it looks like in the end. We went for the stone that we have outside as well. It just made more sense. And then we put the TV there, a wall-mounted TV, and then on either side we were not sure what to do, so we just went for like some built-in shelves. And in the end it looked very lived in, and also it just gave me this family home vibe, which we were aiming for. We tried these different bookshelves, but then we just decided to go for the the shelves because we could decorate it however we wanted to. And so this is kind of when we start doing them. And I like that these connected with the ones with the shelf that we had on the side. So yeah, we just go for that. And then we start decorating. We put a lot of books and some other decorations. And we actually include this ladder as well, because the paras wouldn't technically be able to reach that top shelf. So I think this is a nice touch to have some little bit of realism and also some more detail in the build. As for the couch, we went for this lighter color. And then we also, I believe we put carpet in this area. I feel like that's pretty normal for like conversation pits. And as for the coffee table, we actually grabbed, I think, a dining table, and we did a cluster of 2 of them just because none of the others were looking good. So here I started trying to overlap them, and I like this layout, but we just went for a round rug. And the reason why is because I wanted to break this very square shape that we have all over. So this is the table that we use. We just lower it down with the shift key. And so I think it looks good. And it's not all just squares and rectangles, because it is very angular here. So I thought that was a really nice touch, and we go for this warm color as well. And then we just place a bunch of plants and some objects just to clutter up the space and make it feel a little bit more lived in. We also place these logs, these wooden logs, so you know, it's also realistic in terms of having the fireplace there and also the fire logs. We just do a little platform there so they're not sitting on the carpet. And you know, every decision that we made, we were like, okay, this is probably gonna break the build, but let's do it anyway. So, you know, a lot of saving and a lot of hoping, but it worked out all fine in the end. So yeah, this is when we start doing that little platform, and we just paint it with the stone, and I think it looked really nice. I also just placed some cushions just because it was looking very bland in terms of oh, and this was funny. I was like, what if we just include the floor plan as a pillow? But then of course that's a silly idea. But yeah, we just went for some pillows. And also I was like, what's the difference between a pillow and a cushion? Apparently a pillow is what you sleep on, and then a cushion is more like a decorative pillow, if you may. So yeah, because I was searching in the game for a pillow and nothing came up, but when I did search for a cushion, then all of them showed up. So yeah, I was wondering, and then someone in chat explained that to me. But yeah, we have some fun with these cushions. Also because this is a family home, so we're gonna have kids' bedrooms, so it just made sense to have some fun or funny pillows. But yeah, we're pretty much done with this, just adding some final touches. And then we move on to the dining area, and we actually just end up using this really big table. And the dining area is pretty simple, I think, because we did have a lot of stuff and a lot of information there in the living room, so we keep it simple here. And also because we had the door there to the porch area outside in the back, we didn't really clutter it much. So we just place a rug, the table, some chairs, and then like a light fixture, I think, a plant in the middle or a flower arrangement, a painting, and then we just call it a day. So we go for a green rug, and because of that, we also decide to go for some green curtains. I think they look good. The white was very bland, I think. The green, well, green, I love green. And then also, I think it tied nicely with some of the cushions that we had, and also the rug there in the living room. But also it gave a little bit more color. It makes it cozier in terms of what a family home is. So yeah, and now the kitchen. This looked like a really big kitchen, and I had a lot of doubts regarding it, and that's why we decided to put a wall there with an archway to kind of separate the spaces. And to me that made most sense. So we go for these like almost orangey wood cabinets or counters, and we have like 3 walls with counters, and then we have a big island. So it is a really huge kitchen, and besides that we have a pantry. So I was thinking, how am I gonna build this big of a kitchen? And that was the challenge. So a lot of the appliances we kept off of the main kitchen space. We just made this wall here this bit we kind of made the breakfast area, so we have like some or a lot of mugs and some clutter related to just the breakfast, some cereal and stuff like that. And then this wall in the middle, we have the stove, and then on the wall with the window, we have actually the sink. So I thought that was just very nice to have. Then we figured out how the island is going to look like. We couldn't really have like a seamless squared one. We do a rectangular one. So I think this is pretty much how it looks in the end. I was just really worried that it was going to be very open space. So yeah, we had some chairs there, and we go for this green backsplash or tile. And this is when I decide to separate the spaces. And then I just place this same archway, and I instantly preferred it so much more than having it all open. And this is pretty open too, but it adds a little bit more separation. So, you know, each space is its own. And I don't know, I feel like this just made way more sense for the build. And also, I didn't want to be strictly following the floor plan, not when I can make it look a little bit better. So yeah, we also choose to go for this beige tile. And these counters with these colors, also this flooring, isn't really something that I would do normally, but I was trying to challenge myself and do something that kind of resembled more the craftsman style, which I'm not sure I was able to achieve because I was trying to marry these sides. So we had the floor plan and also we had the style in mind. So yeah, I tried to also just place the objects where they were in the floor plan. But yeah, afterwards we just put all of the cabinets. And then, as I said, this is going to be like the breakfast nook or the breakfast side of the kitchen. We also just placed these pendant lights above the kitchen island. And this is a trick that I've talked about. If you want to change the intensity of the lights, you can actually edit the color of the light bulb. So, in the regular color swatch wheel, you are able to change them or the color of the light bulbs. So that's a really cool hack which someone told me about. So this is when we start just cluttering up a lot this part here with mugs, since this is going to be like a coffee station area. So we do add that coffee machine. Now we can't use the coffee machine or the toaster, but I did see in the Steam workshop that someone made a mod that makes them usable. We also started to do something in the live stream. We started testing out if Paris could use like the microwave and other objects, even if they're not snapped to the grid that we saw or that we see when we're trying to place the objects. And they can. Not only that, I also tried to raise the microwave, so like this, and I put it above the stove just to see if it worked, if I were to like make a built-in sort of thing, and they can actually use it. So that is a really cool hack as well, or that is just really nice to know that we can raise it up and it still be functional. And the cool thing about it is that we couldn't do this in The Sims. So I think you could with custom content, but this is just base game. So, you know, this is a really cool thing to have, in my opinion. But yeah, as I said, we just place a bunch of clutter here. But yeah, over on this side, we keep it more clean. We just place the rack there and also some small plants, which I kinda hoped looked like herbs, and I think they do in the end. So, you know, I think it's nice to have them by the window like this. And then we place a painting here on this wall next to the dining area. And then we start working on the laundry. We have a lot of rooms in this build. We have the laundry, we have also the mud room, we have an office, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. The main bedroom has 2 walk-in wardrobes, so I'm guessing the his and hers wardrobe, which could also be a his and his or hers and hers. You know, it's your game, your rules. And so we just do this layout, which I think was kind of what we had in the floor plan. And we decide to go for these shelves and also use the subway tile, which I think is on brand for a laundry. And we keep this white kind of theme just because, I don't know, it gives me this fresh vibe, which I don't know, a house like this would seem like it had. So, you know, we also swap some of those shelves for these counters because I wasn't really sure we had so much to clutter up. So we just kept those two, and then we add some bits of decoration, so towels and stuff like that. And then for the covered area in the back, we went for like a simple pattern. So we did these stripes, and then I just kept dividing it in the middle. So huge section, just divide it in the middle and then do it again. And this is pretty much it. We just placed some greenery on top. Now the greenery kept disappearing because I was using the advanced transformation tool. So it doesn't have much in the end because I put like 3 times, I think. I tried first with this little bush, but then we used the trailing vines and just rotate them. I think they looked better. And we also kind of make this little area a bit more private by adding a fence. And this is the one that we go for in a warmer color, so it matches with the rest. And these are the vines I was talking about, so we do end up using them. And this is just me messing with the advanced tool, transform tool, just to move them around. And I just thought it looked better than those bushes, just very flat like pancakes. And then I remembered that the original floor plan had also like a area outside in the main bedroom, so we add that. And I also wanted to put stairs, but I just decided to keep it as a closed area, so only the main bedroom users have access to it. But yeah, now we start working on the main bedroom. We had this flat wall, but I do make like a feature wall with some stone as well. And this was already off camera, so I did stream, and we had a lot of footage. I think I streamed for 5 hours, so most of those hours were just doing the floor plan and then the main living area. And then everything else I did off camera. And then we used this rug, and also I think we used these side tables for all of the bedrooms. I don't know, I feel like I think it's common to have similar furniture throughout a house when it's a family home like this, and also a specific style. I feel like people can just buy it in bulk, I don't know. Or you find a really good steal, so you just get a bunch of the same furniture and then just use it in all of the rooms of the house. But yeah, here I was figuring out if I wanted to do like a built-in type of wall or furniture piece. And I wanted to, but then I was like, I want to keep it simple but also have something interesting. And so this is when I start to change it. I just place a wall really close to the, let's say, the original one, and then I just put the same archway, which then I of course stretch and bring up, so we have this kind of nook that we can place the bed on. And I think it framed really well just where the bed would go. And also I was looking up some references or craftsman style bedrooms, and we had these type of things, so you know, I decided to go for this. We have the stone back there, and then we have like this sort of wood paneling framing everything else. Then we just put this ottoman at the end of the bed because we had the space, and also we end up having like a little TV area in front of the bed. That was also in the original floor plan, and to me it is also just a very family home thing, the parents, or just beds or bedrooms having in general TVs in them. And I did have a TV in my bedroom growing up. Not every time, but because I did insist. My parents gave me one, so I did have one in my bedroom at some point. But yeah, when I grew older and I had my computer and all that, I just started using the TV less and less, so yeah. And then above it, we just start placing some pictures, which of course makes sense if it was their family, so you know, their kids and also their pets. And then for the walk-in wardrobes, we do the same layout, so we have these shelves, and then we have these clothes racks, if you call them that. So yeah, I just copy one side to the other and then change the colors so they look a bit different. And we actually don't go for these archways, we place some actual wardrobe doors. And that's another thing with this floor plan. It had like a couple of storage areas which weren't really utilized in the end, I don't think. And yeah, here I was just testing out the doors, so I just decided to keep it simple and go for the regular door, which I think looked good also and fit the vibe of the home. And then I just placed a bunch of clutter, of course, in both of these walk-in wardrobes. Moving on to the second bedroom, this is when I decided to use the idea of having like this built-in. So we do use this custom content that I downloaded off the Steam Workshop, and we just build a frame around this window. And we actually do end up going for a green theme in this bedroom, so it's more of an airy feel. And here I was just experimenting with these wardrobes, and I think we do use these, I'm not sure. Also raised up that modular bench, so we had also them up there in the top, and then I just lifted or stretched these closets just to make them look like one singular unit. And then we start changing all the wood color to green. And in my mind, they painted it green, so it wasn't green originally. And I don't know, it just was a funny thing that popped in my brain. Like, how fun would it have been if the kids wanted to paint the wood in like the furniture in their bedrooms. So yeah, we also go for this more traditional looking curtain. I like the pattern that it had, so yeah, we use that. And then we just do the rest of the bedroom. This is pretty much the layout that we go for. We just don't have that much space. And as I said, we had some really big spaces in this build, and then some others were just a bit of a tighter. And so all of the others are just a bit of a tight squeeze. And I wanted to have some sort of activity, so I did place a piano here. So maybe this para is more on the creative side. But yeah, we place this, of course, green painting, and then we just place a shelf on the right of the bed. And I actually use a custom one that I got off the gallery, this one with the waves. I don't know, I thought it was really fun and kind of made sense for this kid's bedroom. And afterwards we just placed some clutter and then like a painting as well. And then we move on to the office. And we also do kind of a built-in situation. So we have bookshelves on either side, and then in the middle we have like this nook where we put a painting and like a record player, I think, and a lamp. So yeah, it does take me a while to get to the final shape. I do the same trick I did in the bedroom of having an extra wall and then placing the archway, use that furniture piece. I just lower it down so it looks more built-in instead of being a freestanding piece. So we then just try to figure out the colors, and we go for a blue, like a dark blue color. I wanted this to be more moody. Maybe the parents are the ones that use this space, so yeah. And this is the actual final layout. We just squeeze them together, and then we place the chair and also the desk in the middle. I feel like it gives this more important vibe, let's say. And we actually change also the color of the flooring, just because it went better with this dark and moody feel. But yeah, so we use this painting that we have in the debug catalog. And then yeah, just a lamp there. And then we put some decor in it. And I don't know, this piece right here also seemed to fit. I don't know, maybe this is like a quote-unquote man cave. Yeah, maybe this is the dad's spot in the house. And this is pretty much done. We just place this cool rug as well, which I did see in a lot of inspiration pictures. And then we move to the last bedroom. I was thinking, like, how can I make this different from the other bedrooms while also keeping it interesting? We don't really do much in terms of making it very, like, stand out on its own. But we do use these tables, and we go for a blush color, which I think looked really nice. And it's a bit of a color palette that we hadn't used so far in this build. And for the longest time, we had this green rug, which I think complemented well. They went together pretty well. But I think I changed that in the end. I don't remember why. I think I found a cool rug also to put there. And this bedroom also has a dresser in front of the bed with a TV. And in my mind, this was a kid's room as well, but also an older parent bedroom or an older kid, maybe a teen. So we do use this TV, which kind of looks a bit older. And then we also have a closet there. And yeah, it's honestly quite simple, but I think it makes sense also. And yeah, to me, this para was more on the spiritual side or more interested in their well-being. So I feel like that's also why they kept their bedroom very clutter-free, even though I put some clutter, of course, but it's more related to their spiritual side. So, you know, candles and stuff like that. I also put a lamp there, then some esoteric looking pieces. I also placed the moon lamp, so that was fun. And here we're moving on to the landscape, and at this point, this is the final color scheme of the house. Even though not everything's finished, we still have a lot to do. For instance, this driveway up to the garage, and we do quite a bit of landscaping, so there's still all of that, and then some other rooms that we haven't seen furnished. And I don't think I had done all this much landscaping in Paralives. Now, I will say I wish we had some different shapes for the terrain, specifically like a square instead of just a round brush. And I also wanted to be able to layer them so their opacity is very like 100% or 0, which I do understand because some of the have textures, so they have like leaves standing out, 3D leaves. So I'm not sure how they would go about that. But yeah, that's something that I wish we had. And then in the back area, we keep it simple. We do have like some trees and stuff and a sandbox. But I think we should just jump into the game and see what the final product looks like. So here we are in the final build, and this is what it ended up looking like. Now we do have some lush bits here and there. And over on this side, this is where we have the driveway up to the garage. Now, one thing I will say, I wish we could move the entire lot. So I would have pushed this a little bit back so we had some more freedom in the front. And also this is a really big terrain, which we didn't use all of it. But yeah, let's see. This is what one of the sides looks like. And then this is the back. So it did end up having that little covered porch. And then we have a sandbox here for the kids, as well as a tree. And then we have this pathway that goes up to the side of the house. And this is the other side of the house, so where we have also the garage door. And now let's check in the interior. In the entrance, we have a plant and a little bench here. And as we walk in, we have this little entryway. We have a table here to put your keys. And then we have a mudroom here. So you know, this is where you store your shoes and stuff like that, where you hang your coats. And then we have a door here to the right. And this is the garage. So this is what it looks like. I did use some custom content here. We have this storage area here, which I feel like is very on brand for garages. And then we also have a sort of gym area here. So we have some weights, just so this big garage space wasn't really unutilized, because these cars are also CC content, custom content, so they're not really usable. And here we have some more storage and some more decoration that fits the garage theme. And also we have a bike here. But yeah, up again to this hallway, and we have a narrow corridor here. And if we walk into the left, we have the office. So this is what it ended up looking like. I think it looks really good, and I like the blue color in here. Now, of course, it is more of a cave-y vibe, if you will. We also have some storage here, and the bookshelves, and one more painting here, and then back out again into the hallway. We have here on the left the stairs that lead nowhere, and to the right we have the laundry room. Now, I did also get some CC related to laundry, just so we had some more to place in here. And yeah, this is what it looks like. Now back out again, and we get to this open concept living. Now let's maybe start off with the kitchen. So through this archway we have the island, so I did place some plates there, make it look a little bit more lived in. Over on this side we have the sink area with this big beautiful window, so you have a view from outside. Over on this side we have the stove, and of course we have also a bunch of counter space, and this is the little bit that is more cluttered. And you know, it's still hidden from sight, so you know, I think it made some sense. And this is the breakfast area, let's call it. Then over here we have another door which leads to the pantry. This is the sneaky little window that I placed, which wasn't in the original floor plan. And over here we have some shelves with a bunch of clutter, as you can see. Now this is where they would put all the other clutter and appliances that they want out of sight. And of course we have a bunch of storage as well. Yeah, it looks nice. Now let's go out, and through this archway again we have the dining area, and it's pretty simple, but it has a lot of room to root around, especially going to and from the kitchen. And over here we have the living area, or the living room, and it is a conversation pit style. So we go down these stairs and we are in this carpeted area with the fireplace, the shelves, and a lot of books, of course. And you know, we have a plant there poking out, but I'll fix that in a second. And just a family space where everyone can hang out, which I think looks really nice. Now down this corridor, let's check here first. On the left we have a door that leads to one of the bathrooms. Now this bathroom is also on the green theme, and it is pretty simple, so it has everything you would need. Then out again, and through this door we have the blushy bedroom. Now we kept the curtains green, and the rest has this blush pinky color, which I found was really nice. And we have a couple of plants here as well. Then we have the closet here, so you know, it's a small space, but I think it makes sense for the personality of this para. And out in the corridor again, and through this door we have the other kids' bedroom. So this is the green bedroom. As you can see, a lot of green elements, the furniture, the walls, even some of the decoration. And yeah, I think it just looks really cool and cute, also cozy. We have the window there that's framed as well, and some more decor. But yeah, out again we have some more storage here and a painting, and through this archway we get to the main bedroom, and this is what it looks like. So we have this frame around the bed, which I actually ended up really liking. And then over on this side we have the TV with the wall art gallery thing. Now through these doors we have the walk-in wardrobes. They are cluttered pretty well. And then on the other side we have pretty much the same thing. And we have a door here that leads to this covered area for the parents and the parents only. And we have another door which leads to their ensuite. Now this is a bigger bathroom, and it has a bathtub. It has also his and hers washing area with some clutter. And we also did this custom shower with a half wall trick there. But yeah, I think it looks nice as well. And out again, the only thing we have left to check is the back of the house. So through this door we have this really nice dining area outside, as well as a couch, and of course we have the greenery coming through. And then we have all of this space here in the garden, which I think is really nice, and it's such a big garden. I can't wait to have pets in Paralives as well. I think this would be really cool for the dogs to be running around. But yeah, this is it for our build. Let me know what you think of how it came out. It was really fun doing the floor plan challenge, and again, this is not something I would have come up with on my own. And it's really cool that Paralives actually has this ability to have interesting things that we couldn't really do in The Sims, for instance, and having this cool challenge. But yeah, let me know what you think of this build. I am open to suggestions if you have any. This will be in the workshop, in the Steam workshop, so if you want to, you can grab it there, and I will also put it in the description. If you want, I will also leave the link to the Sims 3 camera mod that I used to tour the builds, all of my builds. And if you have any other suggestions for builds or challenges, let me know. I am always down to do and try new things. And I want to thank you so much for watching and for supporting the channel. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.